Hello, my name is Jeff Hastings. I'm going to spend the next little bit providing a demonstration of two of the applications within the Performance Bridge portfolio. Specifically, those applications are quality and productivity. Both of these apps go hand in hand. They utilize the same data sources, but it's just a different way of visualizing or viewing the information. Within quality, it's more of a dashboard data visualization type view, and productivity is more of your standard report-based, text-based view of the information. But again, they go hand in hand and reference the same information. These are just two of the applications that are within the overall Performance Bridge portfolio, with the idea being that you're identifying problems using analytics and then solving the problems either through changes in workflow, specific applications that are available within Performance Bridge, or possibly other components within the overall Philips solution set, such as ambient experience for MR, healthcare transformation services for workflow consulting, things of that nature. So Performance Bridge is a vendor-neutral application. So I'm going to go ahead and launch into the application. What I mean when I say vendor-neutral is that we're using the integration source of both HL7 and DICOM to collect information. So from that standpoint, we perform equally well with all vendors, both EMRs, HIS, RIS, different PAC systems, etc., because we're adhering to both the HL7 and DICOM standards. Within Performance Bridge Quality, again, this is the data visualization component. You have the dashboards that are created at the top of the screen, and these can be user customizable or created by individual users. So you do have access control rights that you can establish and allow those people that should create their own dashboards. They have the ability to access them through the Builder tab here. For those that should not be creating their own dashboards, you can simply remove that from their access rights. I can create my own dashboards as listed here, or these can also be shared from one user to the next. So you can see for this ED dashboard, this was created by Mark Daly and then shared with me. But again, that's something that you can control the access rights on. I'll show a few examples of different dashboards. I'll go into the exam duration by technologist. So this is a dashboard that I created using the scenario that I just created a new procedure type. Maybe we had an upgrade to an MR scanner, and as a result of that upgrade, there's a new procedure code that we've created. And I want to track to see how well the different technologists are doing with that new procedure. So I've given it a certain date range, filtered by the modality, and then also all the way down to the individual procedure code. So here I can see the distribution of the technologists that perform that type of procedure, and I've also put in here a target benchmark. So I expect that this procedure should take 30 minutes to perform. I have some technologists that are a little bit higher, taking a little bit longer, so perhaps there's a refresher that needs to be performed as far as the training, answer questions, see what might be going on from the just taking a little bit longer than expected. In addition, if you look at the other side of the graph, we have some technologists that are performing it in a shorter amount of time than I expect, 20 minutes as opposed to 30 minutes. So this might also be an area that I wanted to investigate. Are they cutting corners? Maybe look at the technologist or the radiologist comments back. Are there image quality issues, positioning, etc.? So this would also be an area that I might want to look into in order to ensure the overall quality of the scans. So it's not a scenario where you're just focusing on shortening the time of everything, but you're balancing the time with the quality components. I'm going to switch over and go into the Builder tab just so you can see the options that are available in terms of creating your dashboards. And again, this is fully customizable by the individual user as long as they have access rights to create dashboards. So very robust, very complete tool set, not only in terms of selecting what I want to measure. So a lot of things that are already entered in here. What type of information am I looking to measure? How do I want to group it? By a procedure, by a particular room, day of the week, referring physician, radiologist, etc. A lot of flexibility there. I can group it by a certain number if I want. How do I want the data visualized? So a bar chart, pie chart, etc. I've got control there. If I want to establish limits, timestamps, specific days, date ranges, etc., all of that is created to show the initial look of the graph. And then from there, I have all of these filters are available to further refine the type of display or the information that I want included in that graph, I should say. So a tremendous amount of flexibility in terms of customizing the dashboard based on what is of interest and needed for that individual user. A radiology director is going to want to view data differently than just an emergency room supervisor, and we give them the ability to have that type of customization of the dashboard based on their span of control or their responsibility within the facility. So if I go back to the main dashboard screen, I'm going to show you another example of drilling into ultrasound volume, and then from there launching into the productivity application that I mentioned before in order to do a little bit more detailed analysis. So within this graph, I've said just show me all ultrasounds for this date range and what are the most common procedures that I'm performing. So I'm looking at breaking everything down by individual procedure, and then I also have that same information just created in a chart here, or a report. In many situations, whenever you're doing root cause analysis or just investigative type work, it's beneficial to view it in a chart type of view or a report type of view versus just a graph. And so that's what I'm showing here. I've launched into the productivity application. So again, the same data, just a different way of visualizing. And in this scenario, perhaps I want to look at my overall technologist turnaround time, radiologist turnaround time, etc. So I'm going to add in a few different metrics. I'm going to add in the exam duration. So it's an indicator of my technologists and what's the overall average turnaround time, drill into that area if needed on an individual basis. I'm also going to add in the acquisition to first report. So when was the first report of any type, preliminary, etc.? When did I receive that first report? So this is more of an indication of the length of time it takes for the radiologist to provide that initial review. And again, there's other items that you could add in. I'll just put them up on the screen just so you can see a little bit. But again, very, very robust amount of information or ways to, different metrics that you can add into the overall report based on what you're searching for. So I've now got kind of a simple report created, added a few additional columns, and now I want to drill in a little bit more. One of the common ways to start doing some, efficiency improvement analysis is just to look at the most common procedure that you do. So in this case, I'm going to select this procedure. It's the most common across my entire enterprise. I'm going to select resource, so I'm going to now divide it down by individual performing resource or individual scanner. And at the beginning, I mentioned bringing in both HL7 and DICOM information. This is a really good example of why that's important. Within HL7, HL7 was designed to provide overall information from an IT standpoint as far as volumes of studies, your orders that are placed, the reports, etc. But DICOM is different. DICOM was designed for sharing information at a modality level. So the information that's in the DICOM header is a different set of metrics than what's included in the HL7 stream. So by combining those two, we're getting a full, complete analysis of all of the different metrics, the different data points that occur during the overall end-to-end process. one of those elements in the DICOM header is the actual machine name or the AE title within the DICOM header. That's not something that's in HL7. So we're pulling that out of the DICOM header and can now provide the breakdown, the overall volume, but broken down by individual scanner. So a very powerful way to do the analysis on your fleet of imaging equipment. So I've broken it down by individual scanner. It looks like, from a technologist standpoint, the exam duration, all very, very close, very in line with each other. There is a little bit of variation on my radiologist report, the initial turnaround time. So maybe that's an area that I want to dig into. For this example, I'll use ultrasound number 6, and I'm going to drill in by radiologist. So I've started with that initial view where I have the report starting, broken down by the ultrasound modality. Then I further subdivided by the individual procedure down to an individual machine, an individual scanner, and now I'm looking at the breakdown by radiologist. So here I can see the distribution, how many have they performed, and then what was the average reading time. And again, a little bit of variation here, but the nice thing about using a tool like Performance Bridge is that you're using data as an objective view of what's going on to start the conversations. So instead of purely relying on a subjective gut level feel, maybe what people are saying, but not really knowing what the data is showing, using Performance Bridge allows you to start with the data, and it turns it into an objective troubleshooting, side by side, we're going to solve this problem type of discussion and analysis. So it really gives you the starting point to go in and have those deeper level discussions on areas of inefficiency and work together to solve problems within all the staff within the department. Since I'm in productivity, I also want to point out just the different filters that you have available. If you wanted to create a different report or a key performance indicator from scratch, these are all of the different metrics that I could use to create my report. In addition, if I determined that I liked this view for whatever reason, this was something that came up in a conversation at a quality control meeting, and now I want to save this report and run it regularly, I can save that as a key performance indicator for myself, or I can also share it with others. So typically, most reports in today's environment, using other solutions, there may be a report that's created, turned into an Excel spreadsheet, and then emailed periodically to different people within the department. We can emulate that workflow. We also have the ability to export this information and email it if needed. But really what we see is people moving toward a new way of distributing that information. Instead of creating reports, creating spreadsheets and emailing them, it's much more efficient, as well as more you get up to the date information, up to the minute information, if you simply share this report as a key performance indicator. So just like we were talking about with quality and sharing dashboards among the different users, you can share KPIs. So if I shared that with other individuals, it would show up in their KPI list, and then they would have the ability on their own to go in and look at that information whenever it suited them, and they would also have up to the minute information. And this is very important, especially in dynamic areas such as the emergency department, where things are changing dramatically on an hour-by-hour type of basis. Some of the other reports, one of the other common reports that were asked about is radiologist RVUs, or the relative value units. And this is a standard way of comparing productivity or normalizing productivity between radiologists. So in this report, I have all of my radiologists listed and just a breakdown what's the overall volume and their RVU numbers. If it's a scenario where instead of using the normal RVU values, kind of the industry standard RVU values, if you wanted us to import your own, we can certainly do that. That's an easy thing, just importing the spreadsheet in order to customize the RVUs based on what your facility is how they want to measure the individual studies. So this was a very quick, very brief overview of the portfolio. As I said, we just barely scratched the surface of quality and productivity. There's many other applications that we have available as well, but we wanted to at least provide an initial introductory view of the analytics capabilities within Performance Bridge. So thank you for your time. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to your local Philips representative and we'll be happy to assist. Thank you.